right, so I decided to wet sand the wing first. Decided to do that because it's going to be the furthest away from the car, right? So if it's not the exact same shade of paint, it'll be the hardest one to really tell if it's off a little bit. Eventually I will respray, I guess, the whole car. First will be the front end getting it, and this is not going to happen fast. But the fenders are going to get hit, right? This wing's getting hit. And then probably this year I will try to maybe do the hood and the bumper to, color match the lip and do a little tiny splitter. So what I'm doing is I'm using the automotive touch-up paint that I used in a way past video, maybe 3 years ago. And since it's all getting done, it's all the white primer that's there. We'll get to that later. And I'm going to do 2 ground coats, 3 mid coats with the pearl, and then I'll end up probably doing 2 to 3 coats of clear. It's like 4:30 right now. It's probably a little late, but there's not much wind. I'm choosing to do it with my overhang here. And the wing is again, I want this car to look really nice. Not the CRX doesn't, but I'm giving this a little bit more care. And, well, the wing's going to be the least piece that, it's not near the car. So let's see. I already did 1 coat of the base. I'm just kind of waiting for it to flash off and be dull. It's kind of hard to probably tell when the total shade there, but all right, it's a really weird color the way this works out. It's a very, not the color of the car, but the second coat really changes the depth of it. And I chose white primer because everything I gathered, basically if I choose, let's say a yellow paint with a white primer, I guess the yellow paint will be very, the hues and everything will be a lot more brighter and vibrant, which is what I'm going to aim for here. So let me put this down here in a second, and we're about ready for a second ground coat. I'll clean the gun, I'll throw the mid coat into it, and we'll pick up there. All right, so for documentation purposes, I kept using this wing that I bought off of eBay a long time ago. I'm using that as a base. I'm pretty sure the car has been resprayed. There's no doubt about it. And I think it just happens to have a lot more pearl in it than the OEM factory color. So for just, records again and knowing what I'm going to do, right? So white primer, I just did 2 base coats, and then I did 3 mid coats in an automotive touch-ups system. I've noticed a lot of the tri-coats for other companies, the pearl is in the clear. This is like a yellow shade, then a different color yellow shade that apparently has the pearl in it, and then I use my clear. So what I was doing is holding that wing up to the panel back and forth, just trying to get an eyeball, and this is where we're at right now. I'm just kind of giving it I'm going to give it a good 30 minutes. The wind is still pretty good. It's not doing much. It's over this, nothing should fall on it at least. It's the best I can do right now without going into the garage and moving everything out. The fenders I may do in the garage just because. Yeah, let's see where this goes here. It was kind of hard right in the shade. I kind of kept moving it out a little bit to compare it, just back and forth between that panel and this. And I think they're pretty close. It's not fully dry, but let's, and it's also kind of hard, I think. My wife claims it's not, but it is kind of hard to me. Let's see if I can widen this. It's kind of hard with the clear coat on, if you ask me, but trying to get it to be a matte color. So here's the 2 yellows. It's maybe kind of hard to come through on camera, but this is more of like a faint light yellow, and this is the mid-coat yellow with the pearl in it. Take a look at both of them. This one, I swear off camera, is way more faint. All right, so using the Automotive Touchup again, this is what I used last time. Paint code's Y52P. This is the first stage, this is the ground coat. So what I did to the wing on this is I sprayed two good coats, basically covered the primer. So we're gonna aim to do that again. This is already ready to spray, so there's no mixing required. So I'm just gonna pour it straight into here. Also not going to filter it. Just gonna give it a quick. All right, let's go spray. You can kind of see the orange peel a little bit there in the light. Other than that, this is gonna buff out pretty damn good. It's only been sitting for 30 minutes. All right, so here it is after 3 coats. The only real, maybe there is some dust nibs you might be able to lightly see, like there's a good one right there. And then we couldn't wet sand out, but the clear came out really good, I think. What I'm gonna do now is just wet sand this whole thing with 1200. Then we're gonna recoat it and do a flow coat. Is it necessary? Nope, but I did the other fender. Gonna do it to this, that way at a later date when I do wanna have this whole car repainted and done, I can get crazy with it in my mind and wet sand to get this thing to be as smooth and beautiful as possible. So it might be hard to tell from this clip, but she's been wet sanded with 1200. See, it's kind of matte, trying to get out of the shadow, but so we're good to go. Now I'm just going to essentially throw 2 to 3 more coats of clear on it, and we'll be way good to go next time we want to buff and polish this thing to look fantastic. All right, I mean, the side markers were good on the driver's side. Passenger had to get a new one, so I figured just might as well get 2 new ones anyways. Just be easier. There we go. All right, so the new side marker on. Fender's pretty well adjusted. Using just a body gap tool. We're pretty close. It needs a small little tweak, but before I put the S2000 emblem on, I will eventually wet sand the whole fender to get all the little dust nibs out, but for the time being, since the emblem's gonna go here, I'm just gonna kind of focus on wet sanding this area, just so obviously once the emblem's on, I will not be able to, you know, wet sand behind it. So. All right, so that's been really smoothed out there with 2000 grit. It's pretty easy since the clear laid's so flat. I'm just gonna throw some speed shine, might be a little excessive there. We're just gonna polish this with some Griot's fast correcting cream. All right, so here's the LHT template. I mean, I think it was like 18 bucks shipped. Yeah, you could use tape and all kinds of stuff. Just for the convenience factor for myself, this was, yeah, I went with this. So I got some 3M plastic emblem and trim adhesive. Stuff is very gooey. So I'm gonna try to put this on ever so gently and spread it along with a toothpick. All right. And we're going to just simply all right, so polish it up, put the bumper back on. I didn't show you guys how to put the bumper on. Tons of videos on removal and install, but here's how she looks. So back together. Need to wash the wheels and whatnot, but overall, maybe it'll show on the camera. It's so hard to tell in the garage, but the hood is definitely a bit lighter than the fenders. I think it comes through. I think I might just try to wash that, clay it, and then just buff it and see if it kind of brings some more light out before I physically paint it. I still need to remove some residual, there we go, some of the glue. I did it to the other side already. It's just a simple, it comes off pretty easily once it's dry. But, the passenger side pretty much got done. Body gap has been adjusted. The yellow little Honda center caps I'm really digging. And overall, I think it looks really good. Wing came out good. If I took some photos yet, I will post them in here. But yeah, I think overall, came out real good. Again, the color match, same thing from the fender to the door. It just looks like it's a little muted. So if the car hasn't been resprayed, maybe running a buffer over it will just kind of bring back some life. And we'll try it. I'll see what happens, and maybe I'll film that, maybe I won't. We'll see. But otherwise, that's going to wrap this video up. The automotive touch-up paint I still will keep buying. I did just buy another quart. I still have, I think, like a full quart of the ground coat and 3/4 of the mid coat, which is definitely enough to do the bumper and the lip. But I don't want to do that until the Dev Sport splitter gets here, which I did order, which I think will just finish off the look of the car, and it will be what it is. Yeah, so I think the last thing that I might need to do to it is eventually replace this just with some new fresh vinyl on it. The soft top old video, but it's relatively new, still looks good. But man, can't get over it. I think it just looks really good. There are some small, there's one on my finger. I'll see if I can find it right there. See right? It's a very small dust nib. There's a couple of them in there, but I think what I'll end up doing is just finding them one day and just kind of wet sanding them ever so gently and just polishing those spots. Ultimately, one day I would just do the whole fender, but I'm not going to do that until the hood gets redone and the bumper. That way I can kind of just have a day, right? Sit in the garage, just hang out and just buff. But I'm going to wrap that up here. Next will be the CRX. I did just have a track day with it. I'm getting faster with it, I'm getting more comfortable, but I need to now put the turbo blanket back on and some other stuff, which I'll explain in that next CRX video. But hope everybody saw something that maybe they learned from and whatnot. But as usual, I appreciate everybody for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.